Hi, welcome to another Sunday session. Today we're going to be talking about tips while you're traveling with kids. Now, if you're a homeschooler, I'm also going to touch on world schooling. If you're not a homeschooler, don't tune me out. Majority of this will apply to non-homeschooling families as well. So, if you are watching live, welcome back. If you're not watching live and you'd like to tune into these Sunday sessions live each week, you're welcome to join the Helping Hearts Homeschool Facebook group. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and check the link in the description below when you're done, because there is a link to the blog post that corresponds with this. So all of the ideas that I give you, all of the food lists that we go over, any bonus links that I talk about are going to be linked in the blog post. So you don't have to worry about taking a bunch of notes or trying to rewind and fast forward the video to find the spot that you missed. Everything is outlined in the blog post, as well as I have given you access to a really cool road trip planner that I have designed totally for free that you can download on the blog post literally as soon as you're done watching the video. So highly recommend heading over there. Now, if y'all don't know who I am Tanya Johnson. I'm the founder of Helping Hearts Homeschool. And I founded this company because I just wanted to help parents and grandparents put the joy back into their homeschooling. So if you're a homeschool family, welcome. If you're not a homeschool family and you're just here for the parenting tips, welcome as well. Everyone can sit at our table. If you find any kind of value with this video, please go ahead and share it out. And what we do is every week we do a giveaway. So we are starting this brand new for the month of December. Totally kidding. We're in November. Mom brain. We're starting brand new for the month of November. So what I'm going to do is next Sunday when I hop on here, every single person that shares this specific video only, so your chances of winning are going to be huge, you're going to go into a drawing and one of you is going to win some freebies. So I will announce that live next week when we meet up for our Sunday session. Now, I've always got notes. I'm not good without notes, so hopefully that does not bother anybody. But we have traveled a lot over the last 3 to 4 years. So I work from home. We homeschool our daughter. My husband has a normal corporate job. So what we do is anytime he travels for work, we travel with him. Over, I would say just the last 12 months, we have traveled all across the country. So typically we school while we travel, but we also try to be very budget conscious as well as try our best to stay on top of our nutrition. It's easier said than done for adults, so it's definitely easier said than done for kids. But what we're going to talk about are just 5 pretty quick tips that have helped us a lot while we've been traveling. A lot of you guys are about to travel for the holidays, so I figured this was a good day to pick to talk about this subject. So we're just going to dive into a few things that will make your holiday traveling a little bit smoother, more fun for your kids, and less stressful for you as the mom in charge of everybody else. So number 1 is just prepare. The first thing you want to do when you are planning to travel is to plan. Now, when we think of planning, we think, okay, suitcase, right? Make sure you have everything packed that you need. But what I'm talking about preparing is decide now what you are or are not going to do on the trip. Food is one of the things that we decide, okay, are we going to kind of just wing it, eat at gas stations, restaurants, live like the vacation life of lots of junk? And if you are, there's no judgment, especially if you're watching this around the holidays. But even if you're watching this gearing up for like a family vacation in the summer or something, sometimes it is good to just let loose and go with the flow. However, if you are like us and you travel a lot as part of your life, obviously, you already know it's not wise to let go every single time you're on quote unquote vacation. So you may want to plan now to take food with you, which we're going to get into in the next point. Same with school. If you're a homeschool family, are you doing school on the trip? If so, how much? What kind? And again, that's a whole nother topic we're going to dive into. Traveling clothes. What are your kids wearing while you're traveling? So pretty much just decide now in all the different areas, what are you doing? What are you not doing? What is the expectation? And then make sure that you clearly communicate that with your children and your spouse. And I will tell you, a lot of times when we travel, Glory and I try to stay on top of our nutrition, where Brett doesn't quite as much, especially during the gas station stops. But that's something that we clearly communicate as a family. So there is no, Mom, why does Dad have a Snickers bar? I want chips. So we just make sure that all the expectations are clearly laid out before we hop in the car. So number two, which actually number one, again, I guess wasn't necessarily a specific tip, but as you're hearing each of the next 4 points, you can revert back to number one and go ahead and make the decision on what you're going to do regarding that area. So my second point is all about the food. Again, if you decided that you are going to have a free-for-all because you're on vacation, you probably don't need to tune into this section, and that's fine. But if you're like, okay, I don't want my kids hyped up on sugar, I don't want to have tons and tons of fast food on the way. Maybe somebody has stomach issues. Maybe somebody gets super cranky if they have too much sugar. Fill in the blank. There's lots of reasons why we don't want our kids and ourselves to eat what we would consider junk food. The easiest and most cost-effective way to make sure you stay on track is to bring your food with you. For most moms, that seems a little daunting. For me, it absolutely did. Our first several trips, I brought things that did not travel well. I could tell you stories that would probably gross you out, but you know what, it is what it is. I have kind of gotten it down to a science. So on the blog, I do share a whole list of all the foods that we have found that travel well. So you're welcome to check that out. I'm not going to list all the foods for you, but I do have it over there. And then inside today's freebie, one of the planner sheets is specifically for food. So there is a list that you can make of all the food that you want to bring with you. And then there's 2 sets of check marks. One, you can check it off once you buy the food, or if you already have it, you can just check it off automatically. And then the other side is you check it off when you actually pack it. Because there's nothing worse, and yes, I have done this, than preparing and buying all the good food only to get to your destination or get to the first gas station stop, and you're ready. Like, you're gonna get in the back seat, you're gonna get the snack out for your child. You are not gonna buy that processed gas station food. You're not gonna buy the $4, hot dog from whatever gas station you're at, to realize that you left the entire bag sitting on your kitchen counter. Again, I have absolutely done this. It sucks, but that's why I included the checklist for when you actually pack the food into the bag that you're taking, and preferably into your car. Something also worth mentioning, this does not actually have anything to do with food, but the traveling clothes that your kids are wearing, if you are traveling late into the night, you may want to let your kids go ahead and wear pajamas. My daughter loves this. She thinks it's so much fun. We don't always love it because you're bringing a kid in pajamas into a gas station, especially if you're traveling all day. It's like 2 p.m. and your kid's walking around in pajamas. But you know what? At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what other people think at that point. You're probably never going to see them again. When you get to your final destination, you probably do not want to deal with a cranky kid that fell asleep in the car because they got bored. So it may not be bedtime yet, but they're sleeping. And by the time you wake them up and get them up to the hotel room, they're cranky. It turns into tears, and they just go to sleep in their dirty travel clothes because you don't want to fuss with it anymore. Not me speaking from experience. I've never done that with my kid. I've done that more than I care to count. So while we're talking about gas stations, maybe if you don't want your kid in pajamas all day long, maybe just plan ahead to where when it starts getting closer to a bedtime, the gas station trip, have a little duffel bag or something, walk in, let them change into pajamas, and then they can have the rest of the trip in their PJs. Just something to think about. Now, back to the food. If you are leaving at a normal time of day, have your kid eat right before they leave. That also alleviates the need for one more snack break. For us, we typically leave very, very early in the morning. So feeding my child breakfast at like 5:30, 6 a.m. isn't going to help anything. It's just going to be an extra meal. She's going to eat again anyways. So we typically don't follow that advice. But again, it honestly depends on when you're leaving. I think that's good for the food. Now, like I said, I do have a whole list of food on the blog that travel very, very well. A couple of the things that we take with us are like Kind bars, Nut Thins, Applesauce, the pouches, like the little ones that look like baby food, travel so well. And for whatever reason, my 8-year-old is kind of obsessed with them. Um, so there's lots and lots of snacks on there. Now, I do this for twofold. I pack them to eat them in the car on the actual trip, but I also use them as snacks while we're there. So if I know we're going to go spend the day at the zoo with a bunch of our cousins, I'm going to pack some snacks in my bag so my daughter is not eating constantly at the concession stands. If I know that we this time we have a Black Friday trip that we are taking. Hey, Melinda. So I'm excited because I'm going to be shopping all day with my mother-in-law. But I also know that my daughter is one that will get hungry. I'll probably be living on Starbucks because I love shopping and I just don't tend to need to eat during a big shopping day like that. My mother-in-law doesn't eat a whole lot anyways. My daughter is going to be the one saying, Mom, I'm hungry. And there's going to be a freaking cupcake stand or ice cream place right there. And that's what she's going to end up eating. And it's not going to help her. And then she's going to be crankier an hour later. So I'm going to make sure I've got some snacks in my bag just in case that happens and we're not ready for lunch or dinner or breakfast or whatever time we're out shopping. So the snacks are good for traveling. They're also good for while you're at your destination because you never know. Like you never know exactly what your day is going to hold. You can plan it out as much as you possibly can, and I absolutely am an advocate for that. But at the end of the day, you're not at home. So some things are not up to your control. And if you have little kids, it's always good to have snacks on hand so you are not tempted to buy the junk food at whatever vending machine that you see at whatever amusement park you're at. So number 3 is school. If you're not a homeschooler, or if you are a homeschooler, but you are taking a break during whatever your traveling season is, you are welcome to skip this part. Now, if you're still with me, I'll tell you that road schooling is a lot easier than it sounds. A couple things that I would mention, and if you head over to the blog after this, there is a video that tells the difference between independent school, muddy school, and hands-on school. So one thing I look at while we're traveling is how much time do I have to sit and actually do school with her. So in the car ride, for example, usually during the actual travel days, we do pretty much a full day of school. I have no issues sitting in the back seat and, actually doing school with her. And we're going to be in the car for 5, 6, 7. At one time, there was a 17-hour road trip. That was not a fun one. Anyways, so we might as well use that as a school day and save a day off for something else we want to do fun later. But if maybe you have a larger family and so you cannot crawl in the back seat and do school with your kids, then you may not want to pack very much hands-on school. You may want it to be stuff they can do independently. Something else I think of is when we're actually there, are there going to be days where my daughter has nothing to do and is going to either be bored or want to be entertained by a screen that I could pack school and say, okay, do these 3 subjects independently while, I don't know, grandma and I are in the kitchen making the turkey or whatever we're doing. And then you can have 30 minutes of screen time. So we definitely use screen time as a reward in our house. And I've talked in length about the different effects of screen time and studies and all that kind of stuff. But that is something that we do is we'll use screen time as a reward when we're traveling. So yes, she gets more of it than normal, but she's also earning it. It's just not a free-for-all, here's a tablet, see you in 10 hours. Now, we did do that one time. I don't remember where we were coming back from. It might have been South Dakota. All I know is by the time we hopped in the car, after the first gas station trip, I had a massive migraine. I'm not going to lie to you at that point. I did not care what my kid was doing as long as she was safe and she was quiet. I'm not going to lie to you again. It just was not a good day. My husband was driving, so obviously his attention is focused on the road. I put a pillow over my head to block out the sun. I took some kind of medicine. I don't remember what it was. And I gave my daughter the tablet and I said, hey, watch a movie or something until we get home. I think we had like 7 hours or something at that point left. You can have free-for-all screen time as long as you watch the things that are programmed on there that you're allowed to watch. Please be quiet. I don't feel good. And I slept the rest of the way. It is what it is. You're going to have days like that. That's okay. But preferably, I do like to not have the screen entertain her on every single road trip. And again, part of that is because we do travel so often that she would be on a screen so much just because we are traveling to here or there or everywhere or whatever we're doing. So you can decide, are you going to do school with them? Does it need to be independent? All that to say, that's kind of how I work my school around. And again, I take frequent breaks. Doesn't matter if we're doing school in the car, on the plane, at the hotel, whatever. I understand it is a new environment for my kid. She's super excited. It doesn't even matter if it's not a vacation. She's still excited. If it's a work trip, it's a vacation to her. She's excited. So 3 subjects, and then you get a 30-minute break, and that could be playing a game with us. That could be watching TV. That could be doing a special art project we took along, whatever. Guys, let me tell you, I don't know why I'm so tired today, but I am tired. A couple things when it comes to doing school. I already talked about the hands-on, make sure that you know what you want to do. Do first things first. The harder subjects do toward the beginning of the day. Again, your kid's already excited. They're going to get tired of school. They're going to get antsy and just want to do something else, and that's perfectly normal. But if you set out to do school and you've communicated that, help them to get through the school day by doing the harder subjects, stuff they don't like first, and then the easier, more fun subjects later on. Bring a lap desk. I have one that is linked on the blog. Lap desks have helped us a lot with my daughter being able to do her school in the car, and it's not super inconvenient. Nobody wants to put their workbook on their lap and try to lay it flat. The lap desk is perfect because it makes it a little bit higher. Your child's neck is not going to be craning near as much, and it gives them a flat surface to work on. Also, she loves it because she can do her coloring and stuff on it as well when we're not doing school. And then I already talked about communicating, but you want to over communicate at this point. So what I do when we're doing school on a road trip is I communicate at the beginning of every single day of our trip, travel days included. And I let my daughter know how much school we're doing that day, what's expected as far as reminding her we're going to have a good attitude when we do this. Now, our circumstance is a little bit different sometimes. Again, we do travel a lot. We also homeschool and work from home. I work from home, not my husband. So I will remind her, like, hey, a lot of kids don't have the privilege of being able to travel all over the place and bring school with them. A lot of kids don't have the privilege that mom works from home and just gets to up and have all the fun. So we want to be grateful and we want to have a good attitude because it's still important to have a good education and to get all of our schoolwork done, but realize that most kids don't get to have this much fun while they're schooling. So she has nothing to compare it to. She's never been to a traditional school, but I always want to make sure and remind her, like, hey, it's important to have a good attitude and show God that we're thankful for this because you don't know how privileged you are. And God has been really, really good to you in the sense of the fact that you're able to be homeschooled. So that is something that at the beginning of every day, we set clear expectations so she knows exactly what we're doing. Number 4 is make it fun. So making it fun should be a given. And I mentioned this earlier, but again, even if it's not an actual vacation, like let's say you are traveling to go see family for something that's not a fun trip. You can just fill in the blank. There's lots of reasons. Your child is still looking at it like, oh, it's a road trip. I'll be honest. In January 2020, my husband's father died, so my father-in-law. We, very last minute, flew from Chicago to Maine and went out there to help my mother-in-law with some things. We were there for 3 weeks. Now, my daughter, everything was exciting to her. She was 5 or 6. So she was old enough to understand that grandpa had died and we're going to his funeral. But she also was old enough to understand we're going on a plane and we're going to have airport food and we're going to get a rental car and all the things that little kids think are fun, regardless of why you're doing it. So that's an extreme example, but all that to say, no matter what you're traveling for, family-related things, work, and actual vacation, make it fun, make it memorable. Just help your kid enjoy it. It's still an experience. You're still going to make memories regardless why you're taking the road trip or why you're hopping on the plane. So a few things that we like to do, and again, some of this you won't be able to do. For example, when we left for the funeral, some of the stuff that we normally do before a road trip, We didn't do this, wasn't planned. It was a last minute, okay, we've got to book a flight, hop in a car, head to the airport and hop on a plane. I think I want to say we left less than 24 hours after we found out, I think. So there wasn't like a big lead up to it. But most trips you plan. So a few things we like to do is we like to go shopping. We love to go shopping for clean snacks, and my daughter gets to help pick them out. We're actually going to do that in a couple of days because we're heading to Alabama for some family stuff. So we are going to go to the store, and I'm going to let her pick out some fun snacks that are healthy, but ones that she gets to pick out so she feels like, oh, this is fun. I get to do this. Um, Go shopping for a fun new activity book or something to do in the car or in the hotel, again, depending on your length of stay and that kind of stuff. If you are one that likes to shop online, I have linked the Boss Moms Club in the blog. I have a ton of really fun activity sheets that I send out every single month. So that may be something you want to look into if you have a traveling trip coming up. They can easily be printed off and used in a car. Clean out the car together. This isn't fun, but this is very much character building. I like to go and do the car wash and the vacuuming and just really show my daughter like how much work it takes to keep a car clean and remind her, just have a conversation while we're cleaning it, like, hey man, the car is so clean. Did you like cleaning it? And you just like, I like the car wash. It was a lot of work. It's like, yeah, it's like, now, if we keep our car clean like this is the amount of work it takes. I was like, but can you imagine if we went to clean out our car and there was like piles and piles of trash and we had to like scrub the seats because we had dropped ice cream on them? It's like, oh no. I was like, so when we're on the road trip, we have to make sure every time we stop at the gas station, we're going to clean out the car, make sure there's no trash. When we're eating, we're going to try our best not to drop things, make sure we're not getting crumbs. If we do drop something, we pick it up right away. Things like if you drop a piece of your Kind bar, because there's usually chocolate on them, we pick it up right away before it melts into the seat because we have done that before. We don't leave crayons in the car because they're going to melt to the seat. So just kind of having that talk of God gave us nice things. We take care of nice things. We keep them nice by taking care of them. So again, not necessarily fun, but it would be a good idea to do before you head out on the road. And then a few things that we do while we're traveling to keep it fun is I do on the trip up there and the trip back, she gets to pick one item or one meal. Again, it just depends on how long the trip is. One meal or one item from a gas station. I don't know what it is, but she loves to be able to walk in and pick out gas station food. So when we went, I think it might have been when we came up here the first time for our survey trip. I don't remember. Or down here, I guess. We just moved to the south a couple of months ago, and I'm still not used to like directions. So I'm down here. We gave her $5 for snacks. So she got to pick out $5 worth of snacks. Didn't matter if she bought them at the end or the beginning of the actual trip down here. And we would let her know. We kind of had it spaced out how many gas station trips we were going to have. So it taught her the value of money. The first thing she wanted to do was go into this gas station, the very first gas station we stopped at, and buy a Lunchable. She's like, oh, I have $5. And she told me before we stopped at the gas station, I'm just going to buy one or two things here, and then I'll buy one or two things at the other gas stations. And in my mind, I was like, $5 is not getting you one or two things at multiple gas stations. But, okay, we'll look at prices. That Lunchable, and all it was the one with like the little crackers, the little ham, and little cheese. $4.69. And by the time she realized after tax, that took all of her money for the entire trip. And we had snacks packed. This wasn't like she didn't get any snacks. She just got to pick out her own $5 worth of whatever she wanted to make it fun. That Lunchable didn't look appealing anymore. She ended up getting 3 things, one at each different gas station. I don't remember exactly what they were, but I do remember her little negotiation skills coming out at the second one because she wanted something that was $3, but she didn't want to spend $3. So she said, well, Mom, what if I buy it and then we split it? And so then you pay for part and I pay for part. How much would it cost me then? And I'm not going to lie, I didn't even want what this was. I think they were the little Pop-Tart bites. I don't want those. But I was so impressed with her critical thinking skills and her just willingness to negotiate, probably comes from her mom being a salesman her whole life, that, you know what, I ate me some Pop-Tarts. And she only had to pay $1.50 for those. And it freed up a little more money to get one extra thing. And I think we ended up stopping at Bucky's. So I ended up buying something extra anyways. because that wasn't planned. Listen, if you know what Bucky's is, drop me in the comments that you have visited Bucky's. I visited for the first time, I think this year. My mother-in-law took me. I had never been to it. My daughter had heard of it. Someone in the youth group, our teenagers, one of them told my 8-year-old about Bucky's because it was like on her shirt or something. And my daughter was like excited. This gas station is massive. Looks like a dang Walmart. Like, you walk in and I was like, what the heck? Like, why is this necessary? But it's like a big thing in the South. Like, straight up, you got to stop at Bucky's if you've never been there. I bought a shirt, we bought some snacks. Like, I think I have a coffee mug from there somewhere. It's a thing. It's like, you just got to. It's part of being in the South, I guess. Um, so anyways, that's something we do when it's fun. We do plan for extra screen time. Like I said, it is a vacation. We do that. Now, something that's during the travel time, and this isn't necessarily fun, but it is necessary, is we start each day with a journaling and like our devotional and a gratitude session. Well, I shouldn't say we start each day. We try to. Obviously, doesn't happen every single day, but I have found that it's easy to be a little bit extra irritated when you're traveling. I don't know if it's just like elevation changes or being around new people. I don't really know what it is, but I have found that keeping that part of our routine helps both of us to have a better attitude throughout the day, to focus on the things we're grateful for versus focusing on the things that don't go our way. Because as you'll see in the next step, lots of things don't go as planned. So you want to make sure that you're starting each day off on the good foot, asking God to bless your trip, thanking Him for whatever He's done the day before, His hand of protection, anything you can think of. And again, just really making sure you're staying grounded even though you're on vacation. That is something that will just drastically make your trip the best that it can be by keeping that one little thing in your routine, even when everything else is new and exciting. Uh, and then a few things while we're there as well. Guys, listen, I don't know why I'm yawning so much. I need to get some coffee before we head back to church. A few things. We visit some fun places. We eat at like fun little local food places. We'll go to parks, lots of card games, lots of board games, and then we plan a movie night or two with special snacks. So we do make it very, very fun. Now, number 5 is give yourself and your family a lot of grace because you can control what you can control. I just gave you a whole list of things that you can plan for. If you go to the blog, like I said, you can download. What's up, kiddo?
After I get ready, can I watch? I'm done.
You're done with the kitchen and the living room? And your bathroom is clean.
Not that, but I did the living room and the kitchen in 30 minutes.
Good job. Go ahead and do your bathroom real quick because there's not much in it. And then, yes, you can get dressed and you can have 30 minutes of screen time. We got home I gave her the choice this morning of if she wanted to do her responsibilities when we got up and then get ready for church and then come home and have a little watch time because Sundays she usually gets an extra 30 minutes of screens. Or if she wanted to invert them and she wanted to watch first and clean when we got home. And guess who did not really want to clean when we got home? But we reminded her this was your choice. You chose this. Maybe next week you'll choose something different. And she says she will. We'll see when next week comes and we wake her up. But she just finally finished her chores. It took a lot longer than normal because she didn't want to do them, but she did finish. So, I'll pat her on the back. She's 8, so we're learning, right? Anyone else have little kids that they make the decision and then later on they regret the decision? We're in that stage right now. So, like I said, on the blog, there's three sheets. You can plan out your school, you can plan out your food, and you can plan out the actual packing list. So you can get your kids involved with that. I'm all about letting your kids help when we plan road trips, get them involved. It teaches them, obviously, critical thinking, lets them be in charge of a few things, teaches them the process of like what it takes to go to a road trip. And then it just helps them to have a little fun along the way and feel like they are putting their input in. So then when the time comes to do whatever activity you have planned or wear whatever outfit you brought, maybe it's a pair of shoes they don't particularly like, but you know that it's the best fit for that day because you're walking extra or something, then they're more apt to do it without a fuss. But you're still going to have days that suck. Now, again, depending on how long you stay, maybe you're only there for 2 or 3 days. Like our next trip coming up, I think we're there for 3 days. Probably it won't be like anything crazy pops up because it's a 3 day trip. But when we go for 3 or 4 weeks, there are always things that pop up and always days that don't go well. So, something that I like to remind myself is we are on vacation. We do need to have some fun. Nothing's going to go 100% as planned the entire time. And a movie and ice cream will fix everything. So, worst comes to worst, and you have like just a complete meltdown day, grab some ice cream or a fun treat, pop on a movie, give yourself some grace, give your kids some grace, realize you're all in a new place. Emotions are probably high and low. Sleep probably not is 100% as consistent as home. I'm not saying excuse bad behavior. Obviously, biblical discipline, we need to make sure that we are building that character with our kids, but absolutely, you want to give yourself grace. So I hope these tips helped. I hope these tips helped. I will see you next week for our next Sunday session. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube and you do share, make sure that you either tag us at Helping Hearts Homeschool, or you are welcome to just send me a screenshot on social media if you tag this in like a private homeschool group or something that I'm not a part of, and I'll make sure that you get into the drawing for next week. So until then, have an awesome, I guess this is the first day of the week, so have an awesome week, and we will talk to y'all later.